Margaret Vitals, truth. What's here? What's here? Truth. I'll tell you what the truth is. Home, it's where I want to be. Pick me up and turn me around. Matt, very hard for me to sing that David Byrne a cappella.
Falsetto at 10 in the morning, very
Falsetto.
difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 coffees in. Not exactly setting the table perfect for Matt. Somebody shared, and I know you saw this on the Twitter sphere, the real public forum where truth gets displayed. Matt, your favorite song from the 80s. Mine was that. Little Talking Heads, Home, It's Where I Want to Be. And Matt, this is the week of home, right? More people travel home for Thanksgiving than I think any other holiday, more than Christmas, more
Yeah.
than New Year's. It is, and you are coming to us from a beautifully decorated vintage home. It's got to feel homey there.
No, it's amazing. Amazing, amazing. Home is where I want to be.
Yeah. Happy
We had a
Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving
Yeah.
week. It's just
Happy
glorious.
Turkey Week. Yeah.
It's
Which
my-
always means home, and it always means Lions. Usually coming for a win. I got to come in
Well,
hot
here-
with the Lions. I got to come
Here
in
it
hot.
is. Well, let me share it. Double-digit win, check. Back-to-back road wins, check. 3-game win streak, check. More wins than the 2021 season, check. The Monkeys are drinking the Kool-Aid that maybe this is a different Lions team. They got the Bills on Thanksgiving, I think, correct?
The Bills are beatable. They do have the Bills, but they are beatable. So I'm excited for it. And Detroit's going to be rocking for the 9 a.m. game. Bills don't know where they are. They lost their luggage in the 6 feet of snow, I guess, in Buffalo. So I don't know what's going on in this snowmageddon.
They'll be wearing Lions uniforms. They'll be like an inter-squad scrimmage. Is that what you're telling me? Possibly, very possibly.
They might have the Honolulu blue away and home uniforms out on the field.
The Honolulu blue. Oh, yeah. Let's just call it what it is. It's a great story. It was a great story preseason. Some great characters, a lot of energy, and nobody's cheering for NFC North Division rival more than this Chicago Bear fan.
Well, and the Vikings collapsed last week, but Josh Allen fumbled it in the end zone. Otherwise, they would have 2 losses, and Detroit would only be 3 games back. They are 4 games back, but I'm just going to put it out there. It's looking possible. This defense is finally playing, and why wouldn't we beat the Bills? Because it is Thanksgiving and it is home, and it's where I want to be. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Turduckens and turkey legs and the whole thing. Hey, man, I got some breaking news. Hold on a second. I got some breaking news. And let me, since I have the graphic, let me do this first, because it is breaking news. Remember when breaking news meant something, Matt? Remember that?
Yeah.
And if I can share, let me.
You may not be able to.
Oh no, I can share. Look at that. On the road. Share. Hold on, breaking. Now, why did it go there? I got to tell you, I was all ready to go with the breaking news, and somehow, wait a second. You just hang in with me here. I'll find it. I'll find the breaking news. I'm not going to find it, Matt. CBS. I had it all queued up. I don't know how the hell I messed this up. There's a thing in comedy called segues, right? And Here's the breaking news. Breaking news, Clay Travis shared, there's been a lot of shares. And this expose that they did, it's 5-minute long, which is long in the news cycle, right? And a lot of it, like, this laptop is real. We have experts to say it's beyond comical that this is their breaking news that broke 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
No. It was 2017. 2017. We all had it all downloaded and saw and read it all. Here we are 5 years later. Give me a break.
And then, CBS, they're having a little bit of a tantrum, Matt, because they said that we're leaving Twitter, but then they realized that all of their intel comes from Twitter. So they better rejoin Twitter after their 40-hour tantrum. It's unbelievable, Matt, that this is the disruption that Twitter has caused, like the Open Town Forum. And they tried to shut it down, and Elon taking it private, I think, is the greatest threat to the establishment. That it just blows me away that this can be a news cycle item. These are the two clowns that are the experts that are verifying that, yeah, this laptop is authentic. God bless you. Anyway, Matt, we like to talk about price discovery, and I want to go to the New York Times, and we'll start there because there is price discovery there. CBS is privately held. We've talked Disney, we've talked the other media conglomerates. There's 6 companies that basically own all of it. But I think Twitter's the most important one now, back private and hopefully a bastion of truth, or at least let me decide by all the information. Anyway, this is the monthly on the New York Times. Now, the New York Times, Matt, they did a piece on Sam Bankman-Fried that we talked about last week. A total puff piece, painting the guy like he's the victim in a $30 billion debacle. And then they just did a piece on Dave Portnoy and they crucified him. Right? It's like, anyway, I just wanted to point out, and I can't wait because this, like everything else, had a 18%, 20% run in the last month, but still year to date down 27%. Full 1 year chart, down 25%. Of all the places that I would love to short, it is legacy media whenever they get a pump. Because if you're sitting there and you trust the New York Times, like how could anybody trust? And if there's no trust in the organization, you're going to be left with your little cheerleaders, and that's it, viewing your content. You have, all right, we keep producing content for our little cheerleaders. That's what the New York Times does. They're little cheerleaders. They didn't quite get to this monthly average downward slope. I talk about slope all the time, 37.50. Any repenetration in the $37 to $40 area for me is a great short opportunity in the New York sometimes. Anyway.
Sometimes. Well, and again, the interesting thing is, why is Mark Cuban out there over the weekend also texting about safety, Twitter and safety? Like, give me a break. Like, why are you worried about safety? Why is that your thing? Mark Cuban used to be cool in the late 90s. He's really become like his parents as a Progressive insurance card holder, because I don't really care about Mark Cuban and his Dallas Mavericks and what he has to say. And
by the way, Mark Cuban is
and he's hanging out with Mr. Wonderful, who is the scammer of scammer with SBK, like all these guys, SBF, whatever. I want to call him SBK. I don't know why, but anyways, it goes together better than the F for me. The F stands for F face. So
all right, Matt, that is New York Times price discovery.
It is New York Times, and again, it's we've been in a bracket really since May. 36 down to 28. So you're in an 8-point bracket. This is looking back a 6-10 chart. And again, you had a monthly chart, I believe, up. I'll try to fractal out here to the daily. And again, you see that we're just kind of in this zone, and we're in this bracket. Really, the bracket goes up to about 37, and it didn't even get up to that this time. So I agree with you. The trend is down. If you pull back, you can see that very clearly. And I have not seen the New York Times delivered home to my house in at least 15 years. And I used to get it delivered daily in bed, and it's junk. I mean, I never even go to the site. To your point, just like CBS, it's like nobody watches CBS except for those that are watching Stephen Colbert and the dancing syringes on late night TV. Like, I don't want to watch that stuff. So.
Did you just say the dancing syringes?
Didn't you see that show? He had a variety show. He had dancing girls dressed in syringes back
Oh
in the
my
first
God.
push of COVID. Like
All right, so
who wants to watch that?
I like this profile, Matt.
but
So yeah, this is the longer term profile.
This is a longer profile. Again, it got bought down there at 28, 20, 29, 28, and it could get up to 44, 45. I don't see it going over 44, 45. It's right in the middle of that zone here at 34. The one that was interesting to me over the weekend was Disney. Disney came out and said, hey, we got to throw out the old CEO and we got to bring back the old guard, and we're going to bring back Bob Iger. Let me see if I can bring this up. And
Eisner, Iger, what is it? I don't know.
Iger, Iger,
Right
I
on.
believe is his name. And Disney got a pop out of that this morning, right off the get-go. And super slow here, but
it's cabin life, Matt. The fact that we are streaming from cabin life is refreshing, to say the least.
Right. So they brought back the old CEO, and of course the name got a pop off of it. But the reality is if you weren't long the weekend, you didn't get the benefit of said gap that we got this morning. We're currently trading 97.11. We had opened up, I think, right around 101. And again, we closed down here, Bob, at around 91. So we got a $10 pop immediately off that silly news. And then all we've done is sell off the rest of the day. So all this tells me is nobody's interested in paying more than they were on Friday. So
what did they figure out? The 10% wise with the old guy back in that they got rid of because
but here's the story. Like once all the people that were buying this last week have gotten out, which they're getting out. Maybe they're done here, but now like the next line in the sand is, can you take out that high of 102, or are you going to go back and fill this gap on this hole that's down there to 92? So that's the next move. Is it going to go higher, or is it going to come back and fill the hole from this one? It's a one-hit wonder. There's nothing after that except now he's back doing the job that he's done before. So people think he had success before. It's like when it's the same thing GE tried. They brought Jack Welch back. Remember, they brought him back, but that's a dying company still. And I got to say, like Disney might be passe. I mean, it's 70, 90 years old, and you got your fans and people that like going to the parks. I was never one of them, so like I don't get it. I'm not attached to idol tree and weird idol tree that Disney offers always. I was never into it, so it's not really I'm not going to go to their parks and dump $2,000 to get my family of 6 just into the park. Like it's insane. It's not my thing. There's a lot of other trips I'd rather take.
All right, Matt. I got a great little segue here. And it's not the scooter. It's not that scooter. All right. I don't think we've ever covered this. Hold on a second. Let me see if it's actually price discoverable. Sure, why not? Look at it. All right, Matt, we shared the other day Mike Tyson and the edible ear, right? We've talked cannabis many times. And then you shared in the network this little doozy. Again, why we never have suggested you should be owning cannabis stocks. New York farmers have nowhere to sell 750 million worth of cannabis. Well, who's putting the price tag on the 750 million? That's always been arbitrary to me. Like on drug busts and stuff, it was $1 billion. Like nobody's please with the. Is this by if you price it by the gram? Is this by the pound? Like it's anyway. What it shows you.
I think they may have to engage Jay-Z and find out how to move that much product on the streets, maybe in Brooklyn and the Bronx.
Zero head sharing it. Thank you, Tyler. But then I wanted to share this, Matt, that I found from Forbes. Cows fed industrial hemp produce milk with THC. Study finds. And they're finding the cows spend an inordinate amount of time with their tongue out when they. I never knew that was a side effect. Apparently, it's all in this article in Forbes. If you want to support more misinformation, go to Forbes. Anyway, Matt, let's
Well,
talk.
here's what I would say. Here's what I would say to that, because here's the deal. Like there's a male plant, which is, what is it, Bob?
It's the hemp. Well, here, even the hemp.
No. The male is the marijuana plant, and the female is the hemp. And if they are together, and like you can't grow them outside naturally in the same environment, because the male will take over the female. So whoever thought they were growing hemp obviously didn't do it right.
Well, they're feeding them hemp silage.
They were clearly growing marijuana.
I don't know. And here's a part of the article. The cows are ingesting 86 times the amount of THC required to get a human high, and that's because they could eat so much of the silage.
Yeah.
Even at a small, who cares about it? Well, I want to talk milk futures. All right, let's talk milk.
Good Lord.
CME derivative 3, class 3 milk futures continuous. And Matt, it's a bullish looking chart to me. It's a bullish
Bob, I'm going to give
chart.
I'm going to give you the same thing. We're doing this just as a lesson, but I'm going to give you the same response that I gave you to Nickel on Friday. Don't ever
trade
milk futures.
I'm just telling you, you're going to pay more this year, through the end of this year and next year in milk. You're going to pay more.
What would happen at the Heffernan house, during the home holidays with milk going through the roof? Like,
I'll tell you
the process.
The process is you buy 1 gallon of real milk, and then you cut it with 2 gallons of Carnation instant milk. Yeah, that's how you make a blend.
But there's also a process of like how your mother sent your dad around to get the best
deal.
Deal.
Sure. You get the Dominick's, the Jewel, the National. I think those were the big 3 in Chicagoland when I was growing up. You get the advertisements. See which one takes S&H green stamps, and then work accordingly in the giant. What the hell? A sedan station wagon, Matt. Remember the station wagons?
We had so many of the fake Woody panels.
Fantastic.
Pontiac, GMs. Hey, give me your breakdown here. How does milk know that COVID was coming? Like, why did that sell off for 7 months?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I always find something interesting, even though I'm not going to trade milk ever. Like, why did that happen? Why did milk sell off knowing that COVID was coming?
I mean,
that's what that chart tells me. And then it goes, to $11. I don't know how they trade this. 11 a gallon. How do they do this?
No, it's probably per 1,000 weight of milk or something. Yeah.
Anyways,
it's a giant.
however this is monitored, how do they take it from 10.50 and then they skyrocket it all the way back to 25? So milk is clearly showing inflationary pressures. However, we're right back to where that breakdown started from, right?
Well, somehow in the market they made this high pre-COVID, and you can see that we've sat here now for 4 months now arguing at this price point.
Exactly.
It looks to me more like there's more fight to come to the upside. All right, Matt, from milk to oil, I did not know that this was part of the thread for JP Morgan actually saying this exact thing in their their discussions with their clientele. Russian Deputy Prime Minister, I guess, Novak says oil price cap on Russian oil will trigger lower supply. Russia reiterates that it won't sell oil to price cap nations. It's a giant producer, Matt. And if you're going to have this pissing match, the producer wins in the end, especially if it's a commodity that you need. It's not like CBS saying, watch us or you won't get the truth, right? There's lots of truth out there. And CBS hasn't been covering any of it for 2 years, as far as I can see. 100 million barrels a day the world uses, 100 million barrels a day. And Zero Hedge sharing that this is the scenario that JP said would send oil to $200 a barrel. I think that's these are the dynamics on the ground that seem to me pointing that there's a lot more pain to come in 2023 if you are trying to short any of these. We talked last week with Bloomberg talking their climate narrative that Europe was going to have the mildest winter ever. Well, they didn't say that, but that was the gist of the article. Like nat gas prices are gonna, okay, so how's it all working out? Because it might be warmer there, but it's colder somewhere else. As the temperature distributes around the globe. Anyway, let's look at them both. We have to look at them at least once a week, natty gas and crude.
I'm I picked up some crude this morning. I can't even believe it. I hadn't looked at it in the last hour or so, and I picked it up in the 75s. I was like, I'm buying this thing today because this is on sale. And holy smokes, look at that. Happy me. I would have sold this at 77. Something happened. But I picked it up down here in the 75s and it's 80 now, Bob. So, sometimes vacation weeks provide you an opportunity. We sold off and we've fully reversed and now back to the top of where we were before the sell-off. So I will take some profits now, but holy smokes. And I still believe that we're going to see, 150, at least test that high of 130. Again, nobody is expecting it. The dollar has been up the last couple of days, and I think you have to follow that. That's why the market's down. The dollar's up, market's down, but we're not really down. We're not making new lows on the equity. So really thin market, but this is interesting. Something, again, I don't know what happened here at, 8:55, what the news was. I wasn't paying attention. I'm really not that involved. So, but fortunately, we did not go below 70 where my stop was because I would have been stopped out just the same way I told you yesterday. Like if we get below 70, you got to pause for a while.
Right on.
But this still looks very bullish to me. I mean, this reversal is harsh. Like you crammed it down to a new low, not a new low, but a new recent low, 75, because I think 72 was the old one. And I'm not going to be able to bring it up fast enough here. So you might have to flip your charts around. But I think that oil's off the races now. Off to the races.
Yeah, let me share it from Let me share it from a standard deviation modeling. Crude first, and then
if you didn't buy it in with the 70 handle this morning, you might not see that again. The way that looks to me.
Again, I mean, talk about a chart that they had them on the ropes here on this daily chart. They had them on the ropes, and you're right. They shook out all the stops below those two lows from Friday, and
there was no more
from here. 76.29, this low here. They shook all of those out. Major reversal in the works here. But the one I want to point out more importantly, and ask Mike Bloomberg what their scenario is now, is this natty gas chart. Because on the daily, I told you it takes time to change the slope, the direction of the slope. And we've got that now on the daily. We still got work to do on the weekly in natty. But as you see here, we're still a pretty steep downward slope. Again, if they can close this week anywhere around this average, they're going to change the slope on the weekly also. And once you get that happening, once you change the slope on the weekly, that's the impetus that could run us back to this $10 area. So I'm cautiously trying to voice my concern that if you're a bear and you listen to narratives, you listen to CBS News, you might be 2 years late, first of all, to the truth. But
4
you
years,
also,
5 years.
Exactly. You might have a harder time negotiating the margin that is going to require you to stay in a position until that truth is told. Anyway, just wanted to share that, Matthew. Share that. What else we got? Turkey Bowl on Thursday morning. This is where old men support their local health services as plenty of sprains, dislocations. That Turkey Bowl, as you age, it's the hardest day of the year. Hernia, it's the hardest day of the year.
First of all, it's cold. You really don't want to leave the couch.
Well, that's why I never understood, if you grew up in the South, the Turkey Bowl is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Or out west.
Yeah, it's a completely different thing. Like in the Midwest, you're going to go out there and freeze your ass off. The field very possibly will be frozen. So even if you don't get hit by another person, the ground, you're going to fall for sure. You're going to slip and fall. The ground is going to take its vengeance on you, young man. Anyway,
well, kind of like it did to you're fighting Illini coming up from Champaign with
what a scare they gave you
with a fever in their belly. But that snow was coming down, and Jake Moody, the kicker of the year, comes in with 9 seconds left and nails it. I was having a heart attack. I was definitely having a heart attack because I was like, oh my gosh.
Now,
And
what
really,
happened
it
to
couldn't have
Tennessee?
been-
Let's go over your bets. How'd you
no,
fare? Nine
I don't have them
games.
like, okay, you're gonna have, I think it was somewhere like 6-3, 7-2, 5-4, but I don't have the list in front of me. So you're gonna have to go through and I'll tell you.
Now
what
we'll have
happened.
to go through it. We'll go through it yet tomorrow because I took terrible notes on Friday. I don't know where the hell my head was. It wasn't in the game though. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, I didn't bring my notebook, so I won't be able to do it probably tomorrow either, but we can do it Wednesday.
All right, Matt. I
Um,
know that you've traveled to pick up a best friend, a new best
Yep.
friend.
Yep.
What's
Man's
Chewy?
best.
Let's look at Chewy stock. We gotta do some sort of price discovery on the way out. Chewy, hold on a
Oh,
second.
let's talk. Let's talk college football because interesting weekend, right? Georgia barely won. Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. They all underperformed. They all underperformed
Yeah.
coming into the final big games of the year, and Tennessee's done. Like they knocked themselves out. They lost their quarterback, and he probably dropped in all draft opportunities because he's got a busted knee, and you hate to see it. You hate to see these kids who.
I wonder if
really,
you think he got insurance? He might have had insurance.
I hope
a lot
so.
of these kids
I
do.
hope. I mean, especially with that NIL money. But coming out of Ann Arbor, Blake Corum, right? He gets hurt. He gets hurt in that first half. Michigan's about to kind of ice the game. They were up 7-3. They were going to go 14-3, and Blake Corum gets tackled like on the 17, and it's a clean tackle, but he goes and reaches for his knee and he drops the ball. The guy never fumbles. So you're like, oh my God, this is doubly bad. We lose the ball. And, our best guy is possibly like he's grabbing his knee. You're like, oh, this is like our season's over. And you can just see the whole stadium deflated. Like you want to talk about momentum leaving the building. We already had a tight end, guard, defensive lineman, second string running back, wide receiver, kick returner. Like we are mangled, which is the difficult thing about winning a football championship in the NCAAs. The reason why Alabama was so good at it always is because they got mangled, but then they would have 3, 4, and 5 come in who were as good as 1, 2, and 1 and 2.
Yeah, there's
Michigan
no doubt
has,
the depth. The depth was insane.
And we had and when your number 1 and 2 running backs are gone and you're a running team, it was a problem. So I'm happy that we won. I don't feel. I got to ask you, now there's not a team with one loss that is right behind, ready to go into that playoffs. So let me ask you, if Michigan, Ohio State, and or Tennessee or TCU, if any of them lose in these last game, if Michigan loses to Ohio State, are they in? What's your thoughts? If Ohio State, everybody's like, well, if Ohio State loses, they're in. I'm like, why is Ohio State seen?
Man, I'll tell you why. Because it's institutional inertia. We talk about it all the time. It's the same as a one-loss Alabama team.
I know,
and the ratings.
Haven't played.
You don't think they think about the ratings?
They're number 2. They're number 3. What's the difference?
No. The viewership ratings.
I think Michigan plays better than Ohio State.
Well, somebody's got the metric on what the actual eyeballs on a particular game is. So
I mean, the largest living alumni of any world university is out of Ann Arbor. So I'm just saying, there's your numbers.
But do they watch?
It's not. Yeah, they do. They travel and.
Well, show me that.
And they spend way more money. And they spend way more money than the numbnut and buck nuts. It's numb week.
I'm not here to argue with you. I just want the data. I just want the laptop to be fully, let's get to the bottom of the lap. Would have been nice to get to the bottom of the laptop 2 years ago when it was fake news and Russian disinformation and a plan.
Let me just ask you this: if the Democrats had, when Trump was in office, had come forward and said, we are accusing our president of pedophilia, human trafficking, right? And that's what the Republicans just did to Joe Biden. Do you think that would be front page news for the New York Times and the CBS News?
Well, Matt, they can't do that. They're not a news organization. They're a spin. Everything's a spin. Welcome to Twitter, where there's no spin, and everything that we say is guaranteed probably. And
by the way, Mark, Michigan has not lost to Ohio State in well over 1,000 days. So who cares about 2 years? I don't care, Mark.
Matt,
Ohio State
let me just tell you.
They can. I'm bringing the noise. They can bite me. Win or lose, we're in.
Oh, that's fun to watch. You know, growing up a Northwestern fan, I don't have any of the same DNA as you do. Make Minnesota great again. Minnesota laid an egg.
Well, yeah, I did lose that. I lost that game. I did win I won the USC game. I won most of the Pac-12 games. We were good out there. Although Oregon did beat Utah, so I lost that.
So El Jefe, the worst trader, a gambler ever. Chalk one up for El Jefe.
I know. Yep.
El Jefe. All right, man. We got a non-athletic event that gets a lot of attention starting today, Matt. The World Cup soccer. Not an athlete. The kid was good. He was a good kid. He was a smart kid. Smart. Not an athlete. He played soccer. One of the great quotes I've ever heard all time of an old Michigan high school football legendary coach. Those were his exact words when he would talk about a student. Davio, good kid, smart kid, nice, real nice. Not an athlete. Played soccer.
Definitely didn't play soccer.
I was
a generation too old.
Anyway, so the World Cup is on.
But who's gonna play soccer if there's no beer being drunk in the stands? Nobody cares. Like seriously, why would you go to hooligans? Why would you go to a soccer game if you can't drink beer? Like that's the most boring event ever.
Matt, let's do it because again, nobody cares what we think. But is there a trade, Matt? Is there a trade? Let's go to Bud. Man, Budweiser with a great rally too, by the way. Up to 40, 45
well, let me finish with the first one you wanted. Chewy rallied all the way back here to 45s. It's currently trading right around 41.59. So again, right in the heart, chopping broccoli here for the last few months. Got down to 22 in May, all the way back to 52 or so, and then dipped down here to the high 20s, 30s. Now it's right in the profile. Like we're setting up, either you're making a good base or we're going to go below 30 and make a new low. So again, to me, it kind of looks like a sine wave. Sell the highs, buy the lows right now until those change. When we're looking at Bud, on the other hand, again, give me a minute here. This is not super fast on the turn. Why don't you bring it up while I'm bringing it up?
Yeah, let me bring it up because it's an interesting chart. And it looks like it wants to explode. It looks like you're shaking the can here. I mean, they've really, they've trapped a lot of people here now. Short this thing, and I don't know what's holding it down. There's got to be a big order here holding this down. I guess they don't care that a bunch of people in the Emirates are not going to drink. But it's a powerful move, man. 44 up to 56. Yep. And especially when you fractal back out to that weekly, this is a powerful looking chart to me. Like when you get this fast, nobody that was short this thing reacted to this. They were all waiting for a retest of this up momentum level, and now they blow through it 2 weeks ago. It's going to be a nice Christmas party at the Bud establishment in St. Louis.
Here's another one that it's still hard to believe that company has been trading around for so long and barely pays a dividend, 0.7%. Kind of shocking, right? Because they're making a ton of money.
Of course, they got to be, right? They're selling water.
Yeah. So again, listen to the half and put on some more dividends for people if you want them to own your stock. I don't know. Quiet week this week. There's really not, unless we can break out of the 3,900, 40, 20 range that we're in the SPOOs. Don't expect much. Oil seems to be moving. Dollar seems to be moving. So that should, I would think, continue to put some pressure on this market. But we're kind of, not far from where we opened. So I don't expect a lot of fireworks this week, and I wouldn't be sitting in front of a screen too much as the days go by. Again, I think I saw something 75, 78% of the time markets are green this week. That makes sense. And the most green weeks for the markets every year are November, December, by the way. So that kind of plays into, that's why people think this, because again, the numbers show that this happens to be the case. That being said, you got to be around just for the opportunities like you saw in crude this morning. I think you get that washout and you can buy it, good for you. If you missed it, well, it's still pretty cheap at 80. You don't have to wait for 75 if you missed it. So,
all right, Matt, thank you so much.
Gold, by the way, gold has been selling off. You want to take a quick look at that because I think that's important. We talked about that a week ago. Gold is now down from 1875.80 all the way down here to 1830. So it's a significant sell-off. Why don't you pull that up and pull it up on a.
There it is. Very interesting when you ask me to pull something up and there's something right there available and evident on the standard deviation modeling. I got the weekly up here, and we just looked at Anheuser-Busch, right? And when they took out that up momentum level, what did it do? It made another high and closed green, and then another high and closed green. And that's what you need to change the slope of that standard deviation modeling. You need to close and expand the range to the upside, discover new prices, and close green. And this thing hasn't. And in fact, it came right back down and pinged today, this momentum level. And for me, that's not only is this the momentum level, I'm sure it shows up in the profile because it made a high this week, basically high this week, low this week, high this week, high this week. A ton of price action here in the 17, let's call it 40 area, 40 to 20, 17, 40 to 20. So again, if it's a holiday interrupted trading week to begin with, but if this thing can't not recapture, turn this thing green and we close back out of up momentum here on the weekly, that's just a terrible attempt at changing the course of this market longer term. That's my
again. I talked about it last week. I'll throw up a chart as it populates here as best I can. But again, when it got close to 1800, I was like sold because I didn't think we were going to get to that 1825 level. And when you look at this, like there's a lot of argument going to be had here in the 1712 area, and then back here, it's really
bring it up. Have you populated?
You should be able to see it.
There we go. Okay, perfect. Yep.
So it's really the triple Galaga going on again here. We got the Galaga formation really nice here in the 610. And again, we kind of, got everybody excited as they do. They like to trap them all low and trap them all high. This is all gold does anymore. You can fade every move almost every time it gets extended. And this was a huge one. I mean, 1618 up to 1884. That was a solid, 12% move, 14% move. So, I mean, I think it's done now. This is turning red on the 610, the momentum indicator. So, I thought it peaked up there and it looks like it has. We're back down testing these lows. We're below 38. We're below 46. Again, this key area, the big area here is 1712. And then below that, you got about 1677. So, and then the low end of the profile, again, back to the 1620s. So I would not want to be bearish or bullish here. If you haven't sold it, maybe wait for a little bounce and sell it again. I am short it, and I think you need to, manage the trade now. It's in the money already if you were paying attention last week. So that's why we talk about these things regularly, so we can give you the opportunities and the spaces to play these. Oil, we said, 7 down to 72, really, you want to be buying crude. So you had the chance this morning, 75, take out that low and reverse, boom. On fire, Bobby.
All right, Matt. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Lee. Please share, retweet, plagiarize far and wide. Please go to Amazon.com, buy some Shrimp Mojo, and cook someone a meal. That's all we got. Thank you very much, Matt.
Thank you, Bob.
Right on.